Welcome to the Weird and Witchy Sh podcast. I'm Kristy, your basic witch guide, here to make the mystical a little bit more approachable. Today's episode is a little bit different. I'm just going to be shooting the shit with you, chatting a little bit, talking a little bit about just saying fuck it and getting started. So this is a little bit of an impromptu recording. I don't have like a script or anything that I'm going off. And I was actually inspired by the last episode that I posted where I was talking about the Two of Wands. And in that I kind of spoke about how with the Two of Wands there comes this choice whether you're just going to stay as you are, hoping and wishing and dreaming for the thing, or if you're just gonna get moving forward. And I was thinking about how that kind of related to a witchcraft practice, where sometimes I think the hardest part about starting a practice or continuing a practice or getting back into it, whatever it is feeling like you don't really know where to begin or how to begin or what books to read or what kind of witch you label yourself as. Are you a green witch? Are you a kitchen witch? Are you a chaos magician? Are you a ceremonial witch? Are you pagan? Are you Wicca? Are you like you know there's like so much out there that like it can be really massively like intimidating to know where to go or know what to do. Even when it comes to books, like there's so much information out there, there's so much conflicting information out there. And I think as well when it comes to occult practices, there's a lot of stuff that can't really be learned by just reading books and by watching YouTubers and listening to podcasts, as great and as inspirational and as powerful and as helpful as that can be. A big element of it really has to be doing the work yourself and actually just getting started with an imperfect practice, even if you're not fully sure exactly what you're doing. And honestly, I am like very, very guilty of like holding myself back until the perfect moment, until the perfect time. I'm quite rigid in like my thinking, and I really struggle with doing something if I don't think I'm going to be like really, really good at it or really, really successful. Or for instance, when it comes to like magic, I have been practicing magic or witchcraft or anything like that. Honestly, I would probably say like my whole life before I even like really properly like understood like what really it was. I think it's just always been something that's been like massively like integrated into my life. I would say I first properly like started like identifying with like being a witch, probably I would have been about 9 or 10. I'm just trying to think when I got like my first like witchcraft book and started like actively practicing on purpose. But then I'm like, I was practicing even before then, like I don't know, basically it's always been like a part of my life. And for reference, I'm 32, so that's like a long time to be practicing. However, I have this really weird thing where I still feel like a beginner witch because I don't know everything that there is to know. And obviously I'm never going to know everything there is to know. Like that's literally like impossible. Even like the most like seasoned witch who like I look up to doesn't know everything that there is to know. And that's fine for everybody else. But what is it they say? Rules for thee, but not for me. Because I feel like I have to be like really perfect and really knowledgeable and know everything about everything. And it's not even from like an ego like point of view of being like, I want to be the best because I want to prove I'm the best to other people. It's not about that, because actually my practice is like very personal, and probably like a lot of people in my life wouldn't even know that I like practice at all. I mean, like, my family know, my friends know that I'm like into weird shit, but like I guess like they probably like don't, not all of them know that like I actively like practice witchcraft. I've totally lost my train of thought. See, this is why I always come with a script, because my brain just goes elsewhere. What was I saying? Yeah, it's not about like wanting to like be the best and know the most. It's not about that. It's kind of like this like self-imposed restriction that I have, that I kind of like lack the trust in myself to be like, hey, I do know what I'm talking about here. I have studied this for a long time, more than I've studied it. I've like practiced it. Like, I almost like play down to myself how knowledgeable I am and how much I've like practiced and how much experience I have, which is a really weird thing to do, because I've kind of recently started to come to the realization that I might never feel fully confident in like my abilities as a practitioner, and that's probably just going to be okay, because I just have to move forward, and that's that, because my only other option is to just stay like really still and never move forward in any aspects of my craft. Even the tarot series that I'm doing on my podcast was an idea that I had originally known that I had wanted to do probably about 3 years ago, and I only started it this year. And even when I started it this year, I felt like I wasn't capable of offering any further knowledge, because I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm talking about with tarot. Like, I'm not like the best. I'm not like the best person in the world at tarot, whatever like that even means. It doesn't even make sense. But so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to wait until I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. I'm just going to wait until I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. I'm just going to wait until I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. And then 3 years had passed, and I was like, okay, so I don't think I'm now knowledgeable enough 3 years later to offer a beginner course on tarot. Like, I mean, I honestly, if I didn't just like push myself and just be like, fuck it, bitch, you're actually just doing it, I would still be sitting on that like idea and just not doing anything about it. And all I really needed was to actually just get started. And even though this is like a very small platform, like, I am really proud of the series that I put out. And I have like a couple of like returning people who return to all the episodes, and it seems to be relatively well received by people. But I would never have known that if I didn't just go ahead and do it. And I think there's probably a lot of people in the community that feel very similarly to me, where they kind of like downplay themselves, or somebody might be like a total beginner to the practice and never let themselves even get to the stage where they cast a simple candle spell, because they feel like there's like more knowledge that needs to be like absorbed, and more things that has to be like, they need to know more, they need to be more powerful, they have to be better at meditation, they have to be better at harnessing their energy. When, let me tell you, you're never going to get better at those things until you literally just do them. some of the very first spells that I ever did, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, because I was literally a little girl who didn't know. Like, I would like light a candle and stare into the candle flame and just like, for instance, like will somebody to phone me, like be like, okay, I'm going to get this phone call, do it now, do it now. And it fucking worked. Like, I still remember the first time this happened. Yeah, I must have been about 10 or something like that. Really wanted like my friend to phone me, and this is like the exact like spell I done. I literally lit just a normal white tea candle that I forced my mum into like buying me. My mum never has candles in the house. And I sat at the table at the living room while my mum was at the other end of the living room, like watching telly, because like I wasn't allowed candles in my bedroom at that age. Sat at the table staring at this candle flame, not knowing what the fuck I was doing. I didn't have any fancy incantations, I didn't use any special oils or herbs. I was literally just like looking at the candle and like willing this person to like phone me, and just using this candle to channel my energy. But again, I didn't even at the time have like the knowledge to know that I was like channeling my energy into the candle. I just felt like that was kind of like right to do, and I was into witchcraft, and I just did it, and that was like it, and it like worked. Like, it actually worked, and that was just, honestly, like, I feel like a lot of my practice, I'll be really honest, like, I have like got by just based on pure vibes alone. Like, there doesn't have to be much skill there to practice the way that I practice. Like, mostly everything is a little bit like fuck around and find out. And when I'm not in my head, things work really, really well. When I am in my head, I just actually never get going with the spell. And I'm not saying don't go out there and seek knowledge, because that's like important. And I think that'll be something that if like you intend for like occult practices, whatever that may be, to be like an ongoing part of your life and your lifestyle, like getting more knowledge is always just going to be also a part of your lifestyle. It's the same with like everything. Also, I'm a yoga teacher as well, and I think I'm always going to be continuously like learning from that all the time, learning from other teachers, learning from my own practice, learning by going through life, and how the 8 limbs of yoga like relate to day-to-day things in the modern world. Even like my day job, I'm a massage therapist, and I have been in like the beauty realm for like 12 years now. I'm still learning, I'm still getting better all the time, I'm still improving constantly, and the only other alternative to that is to just like not like improve and not learn. So I think like seeking knowledge is important, but also sometimes just saying fuck it and just doing something also has its place. When you think about people centuries ago practicing, they weren't like on YouTube like searching for every answer, or on Reddit threads like asking people all the time like, hey, like, do you think this was like Hecate that was contacting me? Like, they were just like more in tune with themselves, I think, and like they kind of like had to be like their own guide, which I think is something that's like really lost nowadays, when we can see people online and they look like they're so much more like together than us, and that their practice is like really phenomenal and it's really beautiful looking. Not only is it powerful, but it's aesthetically pleasing, and like everything that witchcraft quotation marks should be. It's so easy to like compare yourself to that, but their practice probably doesn't look like that all the time either. And I can guarantee that like they have insecurities and they get like a little bit of imposter syndrome. But I feel like what separates like a lot of people is they're actually going out there and they're actually doing things. They're not just thinking about doing things. and I feel like some of the most powerful people out there, they aren't afraid to be a beginner again or make a mistake. They're just moving forward imperfectly. And I think that is something that it gets to a point in your craft that you just have to go and do. You just have to move forward, even if you're not 100% certain on what you're doing. I think obviously if you're casting like a big life-changing spell, or like you're inviting spirits into your life but you've got like a lot of fear there, or you're not really like sure what you're doing, and you're dealing with stuff that you feel like is so powerful, it's so out of like your control, it's like so wild, obviously like maybe then like don't do that until you're a bit more experienced. But like the chances of something going terribly fucking wrong because you light like a tea candle and you're like willing somebody to like phone you or text you, like the chances of that going so terribly life-alteringly wrong is pretty small, you know? Like, you can just start from where you are right now, even if you don't have the tools to do it. You don't need tools to do it. You have stuff now. Pull stuff together. Again, some of my most powerful spells from when I was younger, like, I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I was literally just going on straight fucking vibes. No clue. Some of those spells were some of the most powerful spells I'd ever done, because when I was younger I just had that like confidence in myself, and I was also a little bit like, well, I'm a witch, so why would it like not work? Obviously the spell's gonna fucking work. And then if something did go wrong, I felt like I was more likely to just kind of bounce back and be like, okay, well, that obviously like wasn't meant to be, or maybe I just need to like learn a little bit more about it, or understand a little bit more about what's going on. But I learned by practicing. And sometimes I think that that's the only way that you're actually going to properly learn. There's a difference between the knowledge that you obtain from reading books or watching creators or taking a course than the knowledge that you obtain from lived experience. And lived experience is so important. There's no point in getting all this knowledge and holding all this knowledge and not really doing anything with it, because in my opinion the difference between a complete beginner witch who doesn't know what they're doing at all and somebody more advanced in their practice isn't like how many books they've read, or how much like technical knowledge that they know, or how much history of something they know. It's what they've learned through their lived experience and actually practicing. Man, I have this friend and they have performed some of like the most like batshit crazy spells with like the most like batshit crazy results. I can tell you right now, they have never actually even fucking looked at a witchcraft book. It's actually insane, and this person is just so like connected to themselves, and they just know instinctively what they need to do. They don't follow anybody else's spells. They're not affiliated with any religion. They're not part of any kind of like groups. They practice on their own, and they just literally like make up their own fucking shit. Like, which I mean, again, that's also not for me. I'm definitely too like type A for that kind of thing. Like, I like to know what I'm doing, and I like to know a history, and it's why I put these like episodes together, because I think that knowledge is like incredibly like powerful. But it does just go to show that you don't need all of that. Sometimes you just need to get going and get started. I feel like this episode has been a little bit all over the place. Like I said, it was like very impromptu. Hopefully when it gets to editing, I'm able to kind of see if it actually makes like cohesive sense. Basically, my message here for you today was, if you feel like you're very stuck and you don't know what you're doing, just do something, because it will literally be fine. Like, you can do something small. You can like light a candle, you can like wear a specific colour on a day for glamour magic, you can like write down your spell and like release it into the air, or like burn it, or you can do a simmer pot, or you can draw sigils on your face with your makeup before you blend it in. Just literally see what happens, man. Like, it doesn't have to be like this big, heavy ceremony that you carve all this time out of like your day for, and it can be. Sometimes it is. However, I feel like just getting started is the main thing. Just do it. Fuck around and find out. Why the hell not? Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I hope that you've got some kind of use out of my ramblings. We'll see. And thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again soon. Bye.